Hello, lovely. How are you doing? And more importantly, what have you been drinking? Because every time I see you, you just keep getting more and more handsome. Hi. And today I wanted us to talk about a new TV show that I'm hooked on called Pluribus. And it is the new TV show by Vince Gillian, the creator of both Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. And when I heard he was going to release something new, I was very, very excited because I love those two shows. This one is a sci-fi horror type of TV show in Vince Gillian's style. It's just incredible. And it's already causing pretty big waves because the day the first two got posted, Apple TV servers crashed because there were so many people trying to watch the show at the same time that the servers just couldn't handle it and they crashed. Think about this as like the anti-zombie TV show. It's like a zombie TV show, except completely the opposite. It subverts every single zombie trope. And it's terrifying. It's so disturbing. Probably the most disturbing show of the year. And so today I want to talk to you about this. I want to give you my impressions and my reflections because it gets pretty philosophical. So let's get into it. You see, at the core, what this show is about is the boundaries of the self and how, in order to belong or merge to a collective, you have to sacrifice that which makes you, basically the boundaries of ego. And so we're going to talk about that. But first, let's go over the show premises. The show starts out like both an alien invasion and a zombie apocalypse movie. It begins in the middle of the desert, and we are at an observatory. They have picked up a signal from outer space, and this signal is being broadcasted over and over and over again, and it's in 4 different frequencies. So after a while, they realize that this is not really something that they have to decode, like in the movie Contact or many other movies where they pick up signals from outer space. No, this is actually RNA code, kind of like DNA code and the kind of code that viruses have. So they send this to a lab and they inoculate it into lab rats. You see, it begins with the classic curiosity kills the cat type of trope. And that's where the famous trailer scene with the woman licking the donuts happens, because this woman gets into the lab and the rat bites her. She is patient 0. So she goes into convulsions, and when she wakes up again, she has a vacant stare and a smile on her face. And what she does is she goes look for her lab partner, but instead of biting him, she kisses him, because this is something that is transmitted via saliva. That is why she was licking the donuts. And very quickly, you have the entire personnel of the building working in unison, synchronized, getting samples from their own spit into Petri dishes to try and accelerate the contagion as much as possible. And they are all working in perfect sync, and they look very blissful as they do so. It's kind of chilling, really. And this is when we jump to our protagonist, who is played by Rhea Seehorn, the woman who played Saul Goodman's girlfriend. She plays a romantasy novel author. And she and her girlfriend / manager are just traveling, and they come back from signing some books. They're going to go home, but they stop by a bar. And all of a sudden, they go outside for a smoke, and they see some planes leaving chemtrails in parallel lines. And Carol is like, what is up with this? And all of a sudden, people start going into seizures all around her. Her girlfriend just falls flat onto like the street. goes into the bar and everybody's twitching, about to turn into zombies. Her girlfriend dies. She passes away, maybe from hitting her head. I don't know. Maybe she just couldn't handle the virus, whatever it was. Up until this point, we are kind of convinced that this is your typical zombie type of horror, TV show, like The Walking Dead or whatever. She's just trying to close every door, like barricade herself in. And then she tries to turn on the TV to see what is going on. She doesn't know what's going on. And every channel is dead, except for one where a man that looks like the president is giving what looks like a speech from a podium somewhere that looks very much like the White House. Hi, Carol. You can give us a call at this number when you're ready. No pressure. Turns out that this virus, was not really even a virus. It was some sort of code that activated something within the human genome that made it possible for every human mind to melt into one another, creating this hive mind of sorts, where every single person in the world was interconnected to one another, sharing all of the memories, all of the skills, all of the knowledge that each individual person had is now merged into a single mind, so to speak. So basically, it's like a hive mind with 1,000,000 vessels, which is the bodies of each individual human. This is why they all knew her name. They all knew that her spare key was under the rock. It was because her girlfriend, Helen, before dying, she had been successfully absorbed into the hive mind. So we learn that for some reason, Carol is part of this minuscule group of people, of 13 people that were immune to this virus. So no matter what happened, she was not getting absorbed by the hive mind. And the hive was working hard to find a solution to this problem so that they could integrate her into it. And obviously, Carol finds this equal parts shocking and horrifying, right? Because in order to merge with the hive, then you have to completely quit and abandon your own sense of self. Like the boundaries between you and the others have to be erased, have to disappear. And she doesn't feel so good about that. We're left understanding that this hive is not necessarily malignant because they are not trying to kill her. They tell her, if you need help with anything, just call this number. We want to help you in whatever way we can. You start to wonder, as the show progresses, you start to wonder if maybe the hive mind is not such a bad thing. There's no more wars. Everybody seems to be happy. The ecosystem is being maintained beautifully. They're very conscious. And they tell Carol that they cannot kill any other organisms. They can't even squash like a mosquito. So they're like hyper peaceful, blissfully happy swarm of zombies. Carol learns that aggression actually harms these people. They are bonded together with this type of psychic glue. And whenever they encounter anyone who's aggressive, it actually damages them psychically and physically. And so Carol, seeing that she finds horror in all of this, she wants to talk to the other survivors because there's 13 of them, counting Carol, who couldn't turn who couldn't merge with the hive, and she wants to get to know them. And the hive is actually willing to make all of her wishes come true because they work so hard to get her to meet all of these people. And that's when she meets the other survivors. To her surprise, the other survivors do not want to fight the hive mind. They actually want to merge with the hive and are very sad that it didn't work for them. Most of them have family members who have turned, and they refuse to see that they're no longer the people that they used to be, that they have become basically vessels for the universal mind. And so Carol starts to feel extremely lonely. So you see how this is a complete reversal of the zombie trope. Zombies are dumb, right? Zombies are slow, dumb, and aggressive. They want to eat your brains. These people also want to eat your brain. They want to absorb your brain in an entirely different way. But they're really, really smart because they have all the skills and all the knowledge of all the people that's alive in the planet at the same time. So anybody can fly a plane, perform brain surgery, you name it. And instead of wanting to kill other people and wanting to harm them mindlessly, they just want you to merge with them into this loving, blissful hive mind. They all look extremely harmonic, like they're all in harmony, in peace and love and connection, and they claim that it feels like being in love, like ecstasy 24/7. So yeah, it is, and to top it all off, with zombie movies, the people are weak and the people want nothing to do with the zombies. So all the TV shows are about the people wanting to isolate from the zombies and then defend themselves against the zombies. And it's about the morals of saving people, killing people, But in this case, the people who were not absorbed by these blissful zombies, they want in. They want to belong. They just can't. And Carol is much more powerful than the zombies because just by getting mad, she manages to kill like 11 million zombies just by being mad, just by mistreating them, by using harsh words. So we see how this starts to develop a very interesting model, like where instead of being afraid, and I mean, you're still afraid, but the horror is not physical, but it is existential. It's like the erasure of the self. So the reason I really like this show is I think it poses great existential questions. The first of them being about the boundaries between the self and all there is. Because right now, you have a series of experiences, of memories, of ideas, thoughts, opinions, feelings that make you you. And that which defines who you are is not just the things that you are, but those you are not. See, the boundary is drawn exactly at the point where that which you are and that which you are not is divided. So what would happen if you were to join the hive mind? Well, you would give the hive mind all of these things, your memories, your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas, your skills, and in turn, you would gain everybody else's. All of a sudden, you would speak every language. You would have every skill. You would be able to cook like the best of chefs. You will be able to perform a brain surgery. You will be able to fly a plane. You will be able to communicate with other people telepathically. And they would all know every experience you've ever had. But the question is, would that be you? You would look exactly the same as everybody else because everyone else would be drawing their own ideas and thoughts and from the same pool. So would you be yourself, or would you turn into a vessel for this universal consciousness? And the interesting part is, would you want to merge? Suppose that by merging, you actually do become blissful. You lose everything that hurts, every point of friction, everything in your life that is uncomfortable, painful, unfinished, would suddenly vanish and be replaced with bliss, happiness, contentment. Would you like that? Or would it be a zombie-like existence? The second thing that I think this show is posing is the question of, is this a positive thing in some? Like, is Carol fighting the good fight? Because the hive is actually perfectly peaceful, perfectly harmonious, perfectly peaceful. Everybody gets along. There's no fighting of any kind. And they are extremely careful with the planet, the ecosystems. They save energy. They maximize utility in everything they do. It's maximizing that which is useful at its core. So if you oppose this system and you would rather uphold the individual lives, individual identity system, then you are supporting suffering and war and conflict and tension and all of these things. Is that good or bad? And I think it's really interesting to see how our perception of horror can take two completely different paths. You see traditional horror as painful, physically imposing, fear-based, restrictive, like a classic zombie movie, or like, say, the film 1984. That is most people's idea of a dystopian future. But there is also the other side, like the other face of the coin. We have dystopian futures that are actually seductive, like A Brave New World, or like this show. Here, the horror is not that you're going to get obliterated. It's not that they're going to invade even your inner thoughts and force you to repeat a lie that you know is a lie, like in 1984. Here, the horror is that you will let go of your own self, seeking pleasure, seeking bliss, seeking comfort. They won't even need to fight you because you will merge yourself for the promise of infinite contentedness. And I also think it's pretty interesting that this show is being produced right now because we are experiencing this type of merger through technology at a very fast pace. Think about this. What is AI if not this type of merger? AI is trained with all of humanity's output for all of human history. And it knows every book that was ever written, every piece of story of history that humanity went through. It continues to get trained on the data that we give it. And we all go to AI to ask questions of what to do when we need help with anything in our lives. Each query that we ask AI is like connecting, it's like merging our mind into this universal consciousness a little bit more. It absorbs you every time that it can use your own patterns to train itself. And you extract all of this knowledge and skills that you do not have, but other people around the world do, from AI. And the question is, if the day came where we could somehow merge our consciousness into technology, would you do it? Or would you choose to stay in your human body and just continue to live as a flawed, incomplete individual? And I have a few questions, like going forward with the show. I don't know where the show is going. I don't know what they're planning with the show. I don't know if they're planning on like flipping the script half the way in and like suddenly, ta-da, the hive mind was evil all along. Or if they're planning on just like playing it straight and letting the hive be just seductive the whole time. But I think I am critical of two things with the show. The first one is, I think the bigger horror wouldn't be that the entire hive is catering to Carol. I think what would really happen is what happens today with the algorithms when people do not conform to what the algorithm wants. When you do not offer an output to the algorithm that the algorithm can read, you simply become invisible. You do not matter. Nobody can hear you scream, you know? And I think it would have been so much more interesting if Carol had simply been ignored by the hive. All of a sudden, there's no more supermarket, the lights are getting cut out, and nobody is paying Carol any attention. Suddenly, she has to live on her own. She can no longer rely on society at all because she's not merged into the hive mind. That is, I think, much more faithful to what we're seeing online today, where if you want to remain unique, if you want to continue to make a YouTube channel that does not fall neatly into a niche, or it doesn't have the requirements that YouTube wants from you to completely file away anything that makes you stand out in a way that is not legible for the algorithm, then it doesn't show you to anyone. You're invisible. And I think that's a much more horrifying route, that you would get completely ignored by the hive. And my last question or critique here is that, you know, everything that drives human behavior is fueled by desire or fear. And desire and fear are both things that are also fueled or have their origin in a lack. You desire something because you don't have it. So you fall in love with someone else because you find attributes in that person that you lack and you admire and you want in the other. This is what makes the other person feel delicious to you, that you want to pursue it. Or you stop doing things or do things out of fear, something that you have that could be taken away from you. Now, if you were to merge with this blissful hive, where there is no pain and no fear and no pleasure either, because, you know, everything is fulfilled. You have every skill, every language, every story, everything. You contain it all. Then it would be completely still. They wouldn't be acting very efficiently to create any kind of system for themselves or for Carol or for anybody. They would find themselves with a complete lack of ambition, complete lack of will. They would become very still. Nobody would do anything anymore. And that's one of the points where the individual life beats the life of something like a hive mind, is that we actually have a reason to act. We become players because we need to, because there are things in our life that we lack and we need to fulfill. And that does not happen with the infinite consciousness. It does not move. It sits still because it needs nothing. It fears nothing. It needs nothing. And so that is like everything that I feel and think about this show. I think it's going to be one of the most interesting shows of the year. Everybody should watch this. And it's equal parts disturbing, fascinating, and, I don't know, pregnant with all kinds of existential questions. And I hope that you enjoy it. And I hope next week's episode is just as good as these three have been. Please do subscribe to my channel. Give it a like, comment. All of these things help my channel grow. And I'm pretty new to YouTube, so every little bit helps. And if you want to know whenever I post a video, because I am invisible to YouTube's algorithm, you can actually go here and subscribe to my newsletter. I have a newsletter. Well, newsletter. It's an email that I send. I write it and I send it to the people who are on my list. You can go here, enter your email in my box, and then I'll add you manually to my list. And I'll let you know whenever I post something new. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Stay handsome.